At 72, Pierce Brosnan stands as one of the most recognizable figures in modern cinema, a man whose presence has graced screens for decades and whose name evokes images of elegance, poise, and unwavering confidence. To millions, he was James Bond, the unflappable hero who never faltered, never broke, and always returned from danger unscathed. Yet behind the polished image lies a life shaped not by cinematic villainy or daring exploits, but by personal trials that no script could soften. The public watched him with admiration as he carried himself with dignity through tragedies that might have left many others broken, yet few knew of the quiet resilience that allowed him to endure. His story is not only one of fame and performance, but of enduring personal loss, of holding on to love when the world seemed determined to take it away, and of finding a way to continue living fully despite the wounds that lingered beneath the surface. Childhood shadows. Pierce. Thomas Brosnan was born on May 16, 1953, in the small Irish town of Drogheda, into a world that would teach him the subtle lessons of absence and longing early on. His father, a carpenter by trade, walked out when Pierce was still an infant. There was no dramatic confrontation, no final words to hold on to, only a door closing and a silence that would echo through his life. Pierce would grow up never knowing his father's face or voice, an absence he carried with quiet acceptance rather than bitterness, though the emptiness settled deeply into his bones. His mother, May, loved him fiercely, yet even the greatest love could not shield them from hardship. When Pierce was 4, she made a decision that would shape his understanding of stability and independence forever. She left Ireland for London to work as a nurse, promising a temporary absence meant to secure a better future. Yet that promise stretched into 7 long years. During her absence, Pierce moved from household to household, first with his grandparents, then an aunt and uncle, never settling fully anywhere. Each place offered shelter but little permanence, teaching him early that nothing in life was guaranteed. Not homes, not people, not security. From these years emerged a quiet, observant boy who learned to hold his emotions close, to survive in the spaces between care and neglect, and to trust only cautiously when love arrived. Lessons in trust and stability. When his mother returned in 1964, she brought with her a new husband, William Carmichael, who became a steady presence in Pierce's life. William was patient, kind, and reliable, teaching him practical skills, taking him fishing, and modeling what consistent care looked like. Yet even with William's guidance, Pierce's heart had learned the hard way that attachment came with risk, and the experience of stability was something to be handled carefully. That same year, William took Pierce to the cinema, introducing him to James Bond in Goldfinger. For the boy who had learned to survive absence and impermanence, Bond represented something rare: strength, self-possession, and the assurance that one could face danger and return unchanged. It was not a dream of stardom that called to him, but a recognition of the kind of inner security he wanted to carry for himself someday. A promise to never again be left unmoored by life's unpredictable turns. A path to discovery. At 16, Pierce moved to London to attend St. Martin's School of Art, aspiring to be a painter. Life was frugal, marked by simple meals and long hours of study, worlds apart from the comfort enjoyed by many of his classmates. Acting had not yet entered his life in any meaningful way. But one day, drawn by curiosity, he wandered into a small theater workshop and watched a fire eater rehearse. On impulse, he asked to try, and in that moment, something inside shifted. Others saw in him what he had long overlooked: intensity, presence, and a depth born of hardship rather than privilege. That moment set him on a path to the Drama Centre London, one of the country's most demanding acting programs. There, under the tutelage of rigorous instructors, Pierce learned discipline, movement, voice, and the subtleties of stagecraft, absorbing the tools he would need to survive in a profession that offered no guarantees. Many students left under the pressure, yet he stayed, shaped by the resilience learned in childhood, building a foundation that would carry him not only through a career in acting, but through the personal trials that would define his life. Early career and quiet growth. Pierce's professional life began in theater. roles that demanded careful timing, restraint, and emotional control. These performances were not designed to impress crowds, but to teach him the craft and patience required to hold attention without forcing it. Early film roles were brief, almost imperceptible, yet each one mattered deeply as a step toward belonging in a world he had learned to navigate cautiously. He worked alongside established actors, absorbing lessons, taking nothing for granted, and always moving forward with humility. It was not fame he sought, but mastery. And in each small role, he was refining not only his skills, but his ability to endure the pressures of life and work without losing himself. Breaking through, Remington Steele. In 1982, at age 29, Pierce auditioned for the NBC series Remington Steele, expecting a minor role. Instead, producers recognized a rare quality in him, reshaping the lead character around his presence. Overnight, he became the star of a show that would air internationally, introducing him to audiences far beyond the British stage. The success brought recognition, yet it also came with whispers of a future he had long envisioned: James Bond. For years, the possibility of taking on the iconic role lingered just beyond reach, deferred by contracts, timing, and circumstance. Pierce learned patience, and the experience of nearly achieving a lifelong dream taught him that endurance was not only about waiting, but about remaining steadfast in the face of repeated near misses. The Bond years. In 1994, the long-awaited call arrived. By then, Pierce was no longer a hopeful young actor. He was a seasoned professional, hardened by years of preparation and disappointment. GoldenEye premiered in 1995, bringing global acclaim and confirming what many had suspected all along. He was born to play Bond. He performed his own stunts, carried the weight of expectation with precision, and brought a version of the character that blended modern sensibility with classic elegance. The films that followed cemented his legacy, yet they also revealed the cost of enduring public life. While the world saw confidence and control, few witnessed the quiet exhaustion and vigilance required to maintain that composure. Beneath the tuxedo, beneath the iconic charm, lay the vigilance of a man who had experienced absence, loss, and impermanence throughout his life and knew too well that stability was never guaranteed. Triumph and loss. Even amid professional triumph, Pierce's personal life was shaped by grief. He had endured the loss of his first wife, Cassandra, to cancer, holding her hand through her final moments with a quiet dignity that became a hallmark of his character. Years later, tragedy struck again when his daughter Charlotte faced the same illness. The repetition of grief in such a precise pattern was almost unbearable, echoing decades of pain in reverse. Pierce witnessed her struggle with grace and resilience, standing as a father stripped of illusion and control, confronting the limits of love in the face of illness. Charlotte's death in 2013 marked a profound turning point, transforming Pierce's understanding of life, mortality, and what it meant to endure without hope of closure. It was a moment that reshaped him, forging a depth of character far beyond anything measured in fame or public admiration. Endurance beyond the spotlight. In the years that followed, Pierce Brosnan continued to live deliberately, choosing quality over quantity, meaning over recognition. He nurtured relationships with his children, grandchildren, and his wife Keely, creating sanctuaries where love could exist alongside grief without denial or distraction. Fame no longer functioned as armor, and success no longer promised safety. His days became intentional: morning coffee by the sea, quiet walks, and simple moments shared with loved ones. Art became a means of survival and expression, translating grief and memory into color and texture on canvas. Advocacy for causes close to his heart was no longer about image, but about legacy, honoring those he had lost by creating meaning in the lives of others. A life reimagined, Pierce's approach to life shifted fundamentally. He no longer chased the external markers of success, but embraced a quieter, deeper endurance. Love, presence, and intentionality became his measures of accomplishment. The loss he had endured was woven into his being, inseparable from the man the world recognized. He learned that strength was not about escaping tragedy, but about continuing with grace and openness. That survival was not synonymous with victory, and that life's value often exists in the small, deliberate choices made amidst loss. Legacy of humanity. Pierce Brosnan's story is not defined by box office numbers or iconic cinematic roles, though those are the images the world holds. It is defined by his capacity to endure, to love without expectation, and to live fully despite repeated, profound loss. He stands today not as a flawless hero, but as a man who faced unimaginable grief, carried it without surrender, and found ways to continue loving, living, and creating. The dignity he maintains is not a product of performance, but of lived experience, an authenticity that speaks to anyone who has faced the unpredictability of life and loss. Quiet courage. At 72, Pierce's life is quieter, but no less rich. The storms have passed, leaving their marks in his quiet resilience and profound empathy. He's a man who has lived with grief and love side by side, a man who understands that courage is not always dramatic, but often a daily, deliberate choice to remain present, open, and engaged. His legacy is not only cinematic, but deeply human, a portrait of someone who loved deeply, endured fully, and continues to embrace life with authenticity. In that enduring presence, Pierce Brosnan offers a lesson far beyond the screen. That true strength is found in the courage to remain open to the world even when it has taken everything you hold dear.